topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Good morning, Georgia. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Our first expert today has been with us well over a year, probably one of our most popular shows. Let me introduce you to Dr. Eldred Taylor of Taylor Medical Group. Good morning, Dr. Taylor.
Yes. Good morning. Hey, how are you doing?
You know what? Yours is such an easy show to do. And we had a phone call like right at the end of the show last time. And they had a really, real unique question. It was someone who listens to all of your shows. And they wanted to know, since they know you do functional medicine, what do you do when someone has a really bad cold and cough? He said he normally would get a Z-Pack.
Yeah.
And he was curious to know what you do for your patients.
Usually that means that they get vitamin C. Usually get 25 grams of vitamin C IV with some magnesium and some B vitamins. But the main issue is the vitamin C. Vitamin C is an antiviral, it's antibacterial. So we use that, and we use it for prevention. You know, we get patients coming in. Now it's a change of weather. I know you're in Florida, but up here it's getting cool. It's getting in the 40s at night and in the 60s and 70s during the day. So that change of weather will bring about colds and flus. Now, I'm going to tell you another thing that we use with an acute infection, if they're, in the throes of a cold, is using hydrogen peroxide IV. Now, that sounds a little bit strange, but you use 3 cc's of 3% hydrogen peroxide, put it in an IV bag, and that's a very good antiviral, antibacterial. Sounds a little.
Wait a minute.
Hydrogen peroxide. Yeah. So let me tell you why it works.
Okay? That's really amazing.
Yeah. So hydrogen peroxide is H2O2. So water is H2O.
Right.
So hydrogen peroxide is H2O2. So it has this extra oxygen on it. When you give it to a patient, it releases that oxygen molecule. So you get water and you get an oxygen molecule. Viruses and don't like highly oxygenated tissue. So you know how when you have an abscess, it walls itself off. That's really to keep it what we call anaerobic. So it really can't get any oxygen because then the bacteria can grow. So if you have a very well oxygenated tissue, it kills viruses and bacteria. So by releasing that extra oxygen molecule, you oxygenate the tissue and it kills the virus. So you can Google it.
I got something. I'm gonna listen. 2 years ago or 3 years ago, when President Trump got COVID,
right?
He said he was joking. Of course, he got a lot of flack from it, but he said all you should do is just take some hydrogen peroxide.
Yeah, I know. It's not the way he presented it. The way he presented it sounded crazy, but
yes,
he just didn't know how to say it. And you're not going to have conventional medicine say anything about it because it's not a drug.
Right.
The Z-Pack they can sell as a drug. Anything that's not a drug that they can, the pharmaceutical company can make a profit off of, they're not going to talk about. So they talk about Z-Packs and taking antibiotics, and just the word antibiotics means that it's not antiviral, and colds and flus are caused by viruses. So taking antibiotics when you have a viral infection doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Now the Z-Pack, it can be helpful in killing viruses, but vitamin C hydroperoxide is much more efficacious when you're trying to fight off a viral infection.
I know you treated a lot of your patients, and I'm going to get into a category that I'm probably not allowed to get into, the C word, but I was going back to President Trump. I was like, the people, I guess conservatives were saying, he was just joking. Can't you take a joke? Yeah. So he really wasn't joking. It's just the way he said it.
Yeah, the way he said it didn't sound credible.
Yes.
But hydrogen peroxide, that's the reason why it works, because it oxygenates the tissue. Vitamin C works a little bit differently, but they both are good antivirals and antibacterials. And just vitamin C is such a good anti-inflammatory. So if you've got inflammation, of your mucous membranes due to a virus, it calms down that inflammation. You can use vitamin C with people with asthma. It calms down the inflammation of their lungs. So vitamin C is kind of a miracle vitamin. Now, this is what I'll tell you. Most animals, other than guinea pigs, it's a type of monkey, and it's humans. Those are mammals that can't make their own vitamin C. So other mammals, the reason why you don't see, sick animals out in the wild, and you don't see, lions and tigers blowing their nose or whatever, So it's because if they are infested with the virus or whatever, or attacked by a virus, they triple, quadruple, 5 times their vitamin C production. And that's how they fight off infection. We can't make our own vitamin C. So it makes us susceptible to infections, makes us more susceptible to cancers. So, that's just somehow in the genetic evolution, we can't make vitamin C. So vitamin C is so important for all mammals, including humans.
So can we take, you, besides being an MD, you also have a supplement business. How much vitamin C should someone be taking if they're not in Atlanta and they're listening right now in Chicago, say?
Right. Well, as a preventative, you want to take 2,000, maybe 3,000 milligrams. Here's the problem with oral vitamin C, taking it orally. One, you can only absorb so much vitamin C at one time.
Okay.
For some reason, your gut can only absorb so much. So if you're taking 1,000 milligrams, you're probably only really absorbing about 25 to 35% of that.
Wow.
And here's the thing, is that, okay, let's say you're taking 1,000 milligrams in the morning and you absorb 25, 30, even 40% of that. So if you take 2,000 milligrams at one time, actually the percent of absorption goes down. So the more you take at one time orally, the less you absorb. So if you're going to take vitamin C, you're better off at taking 1,000 milligrams in the morning and 1,000 milligrams in the evening, and not take 2,000 milligrams all at one time, or 3,000 milligrams. So just as preventative, a couple of thousand milligrams a day would be a good preventive measure. But if you're actively sick, or you got a lingering cold that that just won't go away, then IV vitamin C is better if you are sick at that particular time. But as a preventative, a couple of thousand milligrams are fine. And like I said, some of my patients come in September, October, they get a vitamin C IV. They may come back again in December or January, just trying to, um, prevent any big time flus or colds from, debilitating them.
We just got a text from Helen listening to the show. Love your show, Dr. Taylor. What is your thoughts on those ads that are done for the pills that supposedly get rid of a cold? I think she's talking about those Everidescents that dissolve in water that you drink, and it's supposed to knock a cold out.
I'm not sure exactly. I know there's dissolvable vitamin C. There's also, now I'll tell you, one good over-the-counter remedy for colds is zinc.
Really?
There's several companies that make, it's called, I don't know, but it's over-the-counter zinc. It's like 50 to 100 milligrams of zinc. That's very effective in killing viruses. It kind of oxidizes or rusts the viruses. That's how even the oxygen with the hydrogen peroxide, it causes oxidation. And oxidation is when something rusts. So it really kills the virus by rusting it or oxidizing it. And that's the same thing that zinc does. But the effervescent things over the counter, they probably have some vitamin C in it. They probably have some kind of antihistamine in it. And they may have some zinc in it. So all of those can be very good for decreasing the extent of the cold or the how long it lasts. So you're trying to make it where hopefully the cold lasts 2 or 3 days and not 7 or 10 days. So that's the whole goal, is trying to decrease the duration that you're dealing with the infection.
Dr. Taylor, you consider yourself, you work in functional medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think a lot of people know what functional medicine is. I mean, they know what holistic medicine is, but explain what you do in your practice.
Well, you can call it holistic, you can call it functional, you can call it integrative, you can call it all kinds of things, but it's really self-explanatory. Functional medicine tries to help your body function as well as it can for as long as it can. So what are we doing with vitamin C? We're trying to help your immune system function as well as it can for as long as it can. So the vitamin C, the zinc, the hydrogen, all we're trying to do is help the immune system function, do what it's supposed to do, kill that virus, get you well again. When you talk about the gut, we're trying to get that to function as well as it can so you can absorb nutrients and get rid of waste so you won't be toxic or whatever. So how do you do that? What makes the gut function? Well, it's probiotics, making sure you have good bacteria in there. It's called a microbiome, that you have the right different kinds of bacteria. You want to make sure that the gut is acting as a good filter. The gut is supposed to absorb nutrients and get rid of waste. But if the filter has holes in it, then you can absorb toxins that you shouldn't be absorbing. So glutamine and greens, keeping the gut alkaline, helps the gut to function the best. You want your brain to function as well as it can. It needs energy. It needs amino acids. So if you understand what these systems need to function, you want to make sure it has plenty of it. And so the problem is that drugs don't really help the system to function better. It really is only trying to alleviate the symptoms for 24 hours until you need the next pill. So what happens is function begins to deteriorate if you don't actually correct the malfunction. If you only get rid of the symptom for a day, the function continues to go down. And that's why when you start down this pharmaceutical road, it gets wider and wider and wider. You need to keep taking more medications because your function is deteriorating, even though your symptoms are being ameliorated. And it takes more and more to get rid of the symptom as the function goes down. So that's a long answer, but that's the best answer I have. How do you make your systems function well?
So let me go back to, if you, for example, on different medications, it
Mhm.
tells you how many pills you should take a day.
Right.
So everybody gets the same information, but isn't everybody's body different
Yeah,
and the
sure.
way to absorb, or is it the same?
Oh, no. No doubt about it. Yeah. Your ability, I mean, absorbing medication takes a well-functioning gut. You have to have acid in your stomach to break down the pill. Okay. But so many people are on antacids and on drugs to decrease the acid in their stomach because they are having heartburn or reflux. So you have to have acid in the stomach to break down the pill. Your gut has to absorb it. And then here's the deal. As even if you're not on a acid blocking drug, after age 50, almost all people, their stomach acid goes down. So it makes it
Okay.
harder and harder for them to digest nutrients and everything. And a lot of people, including me, we take digestive enzymes. So that's going to go down whether you're taking an acid blocking drug or not. Now, here's the other thing: as you get older, your ability to break down or metabolize or detoxify yourself from the drug goes down. So the older you get, especially with older people in their 70s and 80s who are in hospitals, they usually have to take much less of a drug because they can't get, their liver doesn't work well enough to get rid of it. So it begins to build up and then they get complications from overdosing, even though they're on a normal dose. So yeah, everybody's different. Uh, and so you have to treat everybody differently, but medicine is not built to do that. You have these
No.
standardized doses. That's why I use a compounding pharmacy. With compounding pharmacies, you can individualize the dose of a medication. When you're dealing with just going to the CVS or Walgreens or whatever, there's only certain doses of drugs: 100 milligrams, 200 milligrams, 300 milligrams. With a compounding pharmacy, I can give somebody 127 milligrams of something and 222 milligrams of something else. So it makes it where you can individualize doses and medications.
Okay, we got another text from Mel. He wants to know he wants to know what you suggest for brain function, and do you carry it?
Yeah. Okay. For brain function, we primarily use our product, Amino Restore. So Amino Restore has amino acids. Amino acids they come from protein. So your stomach has to break down that steak and break it all the way down into amino acids. And if you don't have enough stomach acid, then that doesn't work very well. Okay. So you have a hard time breaking down proteins and amino acids. Amino acids are important because that's what makes up neurotransmitters. And neurotransmitters transmit messages from one nerve cell to another. It's almost like how many gigabytes or megabytes do you have and how fast is that information going? Well, if you don't have enough neurotransmitters, that signal is going to take a long time. It's like, you're back to a floppy disk instead of some, memory chip. So, so you need the amino acids, and they've shown that decrease in stomach acid, taking these acid blocking drugs, increase the risk of dementia, early onset dementia, because you can't break down these amino acids. So anyway, to break down these proteins into amino acids. So we have something called Amino Restore. The amino acids are already broken down, so they're easy to absorb. And we have a lot of other vitamins and minerals in there to help with brain health. But that's probably the most important one, is to make sure you have enough amino acids to make neurotransmitters. Now, there's other things that can cause problems, hormone problems. Women going through menopause, sometimes they get forgetful. If you're under a lot of stress, that slows down the executive function of your brain, the frontal portion of your brain. So it's very hard to make good decisions when you're stressed. So those are other factors that can cause problems with brain function. But you want to make sure you have enough amino acids to make those neurotransmitters.
Seems like it happens a lot with older people, forgetfulness, things like that.
Yeah, because again, as you get older, your stomach acid goes down, and stomach acid is essential to break down proteins. So, if you're 60, 70, 80, you have a hard time breaking down, heavy protein. So when you eat that steak, it may stay and linger longer than you want it to in your stomach. Maybe that's why you kind of feel full or whatever, quickly. But yeah, you need to be able to break that down, and stomach acid is essential.
Okay. Here's Marcus in Atlanta wants to know, do you treat gout?
Oh, gout is a tricky one. It comes from the drug is colchicine, but it's an inflammatory process. Gout is rough because a lot of times it's triggered by what someone is eating, and so it's really incumbent upon the patient to try and stick to a diet that's not going to cause the gout to flare up. Because the gout is usually in a joint in the big toe, that's usually where you see it. Having that specific spot like that, a lot of times if you give something IV, it may calm down that inflammation some. But I'm gonna tell you the best treatment is the person changing their diet, because usually there's dietary triggers that cause the gout to erupt. So here's the one thing about functional medicine: sometimes there's not a pill for everything. Sometimes you got to change your lifestyle, and then that prevents it. So we've grown up in that, oh, I can do whatever I want, I'll just take a pill. But sometimes that's not the case.
Yeah, absolutely. But, thank God for how you practice medicine. I mean, you must get so many people who come to you who've gone to physicians that nothing is working for them.
Yeah.
And you're kind of their last resort.
Yeah.
Which is so amazing, and why so many doctors now are starting to believe in holistic medicine.
Yeah. So you're exactly right. That is my patient. That is the patient who's gone through the conventional medicine, routine, and nothing's getting better. And I like to explain it like this: it's not because your doctor is a bad doctor.
Right.
Your doctor is trained to identify diseases. Okay, so diseases have special criteria. You must have this, you must have that, you must have this, you must have that. And so a lot of times a person will have this and that, but they don't have that, and that. Okay, and so they're suffering from those two symptoms, but it doesn't meet the criteria of disease. That's where functional medicine kicks in. No, you don't have a disease, but you've got a dysfunction that will lead you to disease. And instead of me telling you to come back next year, 5 years later, now you have this, and this. Okay, now you have a disease. Now we can give you this pill. That just never made sense to me. Why don't we see what is this the beginning stage of? What caused it? What is causing this malfunction or dysfunction? Oh, they don't have enough of this. They don't have enough of that. That's what's screwing up this whole chemical process. And then you give it to them, and then they begin to function. And instead of going this way along the disease road, they back it up. They have this and that, and then you you bring it back to where they feel normal and they feel healthy again. So that's the difference. Yeah, most of the time, by the time a patient has come to me, they've already been back and forth to their doctor and maybe 2 other doctors or whatever. So yeah, but that's my kind of patient.
Yes, I know. We've run out of time. The show goes by so fast. Give everybody your phone number, especially your website.
Yeah, well, the website is taylormedicalgroup.net, taylormedicalgroup.net. My supplement company is taylormdformulations.com. That's where you could find the Amino Restore, taylormdformulations.com. And my phone number to my practice is 678-443-4000.
Beautiful. We love having you on. Dr. Taylor's with us. twice a month. And we'll see you again soon, Dr. Taylor.
All right. Thanks a lot, Steve.
Thank you so much. It's
all right.
Dr. Taylor with the Taylor Medical Group, taylormedicalgroup.net. Make sure you do that .net. But if you've got a health issue that you've been struggling with and doctored, you're not getting any relief at all, try Dr. Taylor. He is an MD, went to one of the finest medical schools, went to Emory, and he's learned along the way that there's sometimes better ways to do something. And anyhow, give him a call. That's it for us today. We will be back with you again next week with more Ask the Experts, brought to you by Henningsen Injury Attorneys. You can reach them at 404-835-4935. If you've been in an auto accident or slip and fall, give them a call. We'll see you again next week.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.